Hi everyone, we are out here at Savage Arena prior to the St. John-St. Francis basketball game. This place will be filled and rocking very soon, but a chance to catch up with someone who I've wanted to for quite some time, the head coach of the St. Francis basketball team, Travis Lewis, because he's got a lot of very interesting stories to tell and some with a lot of very good lessons that can be learned from that. And I guess I remember you back when you were playing at Eastern Michigan doing something that many people say is impossible to do. You can't play two Division I sports simultaneously, and you're living proof that that is not impossible. How did that come about?
It's really just fate and opportunity. I was there on a football scholarship. I had a fairly decent redshirt freshman year. The basketball program at Eastern was going through a coaching change. The coach that got the job actually seen me play in high school. He recruited some kids from Kalamazoo, Michigan. And during the Christmas break, he was down. He needed a guy to fill the spot, and they gave me a call, and I got an opportunity to do it.
Now, you're telling me a story I didn't know till tonight, that you actually were talking about that with your coach, and then the call came asking you to do it at that same moment.
Correct. It was Christmas break. I went home at my high school gym, just trying to work out as football players do, live their old dreams in open gyms. And the coach asked me, he said, "Hey, you still got it? They haven't asked you to do both yet." I said, "No, I don't think they'll do that." And then ironically enough, 15 minutes later, the head football coach, Jeff Jennett, gave me a call and said, "Would you be interested in playing basketball for Charles Ramsey?" And I said, "Absolutely." And from there, it was history.
Did you ever have the thought of wanting to do that before, or is it just kind of, that's just not something that's done, so you didn't think about it?
Well, I never played football until I was a sophomore in high school. So my whole life, I planned on being a Division I athlete at University of North Carolina. So when I went to college for football, it was kind of just a God-given opportunity. And then as I got the opportunity to play basketball, if it ever presented itself, that's what I would do.
Now, the reason why people say it can't be done is the total commitment that's required just to play one sport, to say nothing of two. How were you able to do that, and what did you learn was necessary to be able to do something like that?
Well, one of the saving graces was the opportunity to have a laptop. A lot of long road trips. In the MAC, we're not as fortunate as some of the bigger conferences, so we bus everywhere. To be able to do homework, I had a great SAS, Student Athlete Services counselor, who got me all my work. I would do a lot of video in classroom tests and lectures. And then on top of that, the coaches worked together to make sure that I had the opportunity to excel at both. The weight room was critical. Summer development was pretty much on my own. I think now, looking back, some things I sacrificed as far as being able to get faster as a football player, but I developed more as a basketball player, and fortunately for me, it worked itself out.
So I'm sure you can use that when you're working with young players to show them just how much dedication and just a willingness to sacrifice and being persistent toward achieving a goal can take you.
Absolutely. One of the things I tell my kids, my 3-year-old, my 1-year-old, as well as the players on our team, if you ever want to achieve anything, it's going to take some hard work, dedication, and a little bit of commitment. And you got to commit yourself to a lot of different things, and you got to be willing to sacrifice and give up some of the fun things to do if you really want to accomplish something bigger than yourself that you can leave a legacy doing.
And when you can point to your own circumstances and be an example of that, that's huge. Now, then you went on and played pro basketball, and not just in any place that people might think of. You went to China to play pro basketball, where basketball is very, very popular, but that was quite a learning experience and a life experience for you, wasn't it?
Absolutely. I had to make a decision after basketball was over in college. Did I want to try football or did I want to try basketball? I ended up trying both. I did arena as well. But my initial opportunity came from my agent. My agent was out of Canada, and I did a short stint in China where I got a chance to really see how the Asian culture lived. They're 12 hours opposite of us. If it's 7 p.m. there, it's 7 a.m. here. So it was a life experience. It was something that I'll never forget and I'll cherish for a lifetime.
What are some of the major things that stand out in your mind? I recall talking to you once and you said, did you really see that we maybe take for granted some of the comforts that we have here in our country? Absolutely.
Just our living lifestyle. I mean, you go to the restroom there on the road and you're not in your 5-star hotel and you're just at a normal hotel in China, there's a hole in the floor that you have to squat down and use the restroom. So those simple things of being able to flush a toilet, really you learn to take advantage of when you go to a different country and see how fortunate we are as Americans.
So you see a lot of the lessons here, perseverance and dedication, being thankful for what you have. And another interesting thing, we remember watching Jessica Minifield back in BCSN, back when she was an outstanding athlete at Central Catholic, and you met and married her, and as you mentioned, you've got 2 kids now. How did that come about?
Well, in the Ypsilanti, Ann Arbor area, it's about 7 miles that separates our arenas. So in the summer, Michigan would have open gyms, we would have open gyms, and I would go over and play there. And one that doesn't have a bashful eye seen and persistence over a period of time. I was able to talk to her. We would communicate. We played Western Michigan at a 9 p.m. game, and by that time I had gave up on any hope of being with Jessica Minfield. And she texted me and told me good game. And I looked to my point guard, who was my roommate at the time, and said, I got her. And from that point forward, I wasn't letting her go.
Yeah, she said good game after that. You know you got something there. You feel like a lot of these things we've been talking about, you talk about wanting to really instill a culture of discipline and work ethic and so forth in your St. Francis team, and a lot of these experiences we've been talking about have helped you to do that?
The business world is so much different than being a student athlete. As a student athlete, if you don't go to class or you show up late to practice, maybe you have to run, maybe you miss an assignment and get a 0. In the business world, if you don't show up, you get fired. So a lot of the commitment and dedication that I had to deal with as a student athlete, doing multiple things, living in different countries, being in the airports and hotels for multiple hours, it really has transformed me to give life lessons to our student athletes here at St. Francis and say, if you really want to do something, there are things that you have to sacrifice and not lose and take advantage of.
Well, we look for role models and leadership, and guys, listen to what he has to say because he's lived it, and certainly he'll point you in the right direction. Travis Lewis, thanks for joining us.
No problem. Thanks for having me, and thanks for everything that BCSN does for St. Francis and the Toledo local area high school sports.
Our pleasure. Greg Franke for BCSN.